I am sick and tired of game after game coming out to be disappointment after disappointment, so how about for once we set our expectations as low as possible so there's absolutely no way we can be disappointed. My target? Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 was announced March 21st, 2019, to be released in Q1 of 2020, developed by Hardsuit Labs and published by Paradox Interactive. It is now mid-2021, and not only is the game not out, it doesn't even have a developer as of now. So let's talk about it. Before we get started, make sure you take a second to tap that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps the channel grow, and I owe you my soul. When VTMB2 was announced, fans of the original collectively lost their shit. This was a game that, by all means, should not have existed. I mean, sure, the original had an extremely loyal cult following that had been crying out for a sequel for over a decade. But the original developer, Troika, no longer existed, and the publisher, Activision, pretty much cut their losses on the game after poor initial sales and reviews. Yet by some miracle, here we were, watching the official trailer for the game set to release in the next year. And to make it even better, it was led by the writer of the original, Brian Matsuda. With him at the helm, what could possibly go wrong? Right? Spoiler alert, fucking everything. The months following the announcement were great. The developers provided constant updates on the progress of the game, more trailers came out and gameplay was shown, which seemed very promising. And you had the rundown apartment with the radio host that sounded almost exactly like the TV reporter in the original. Not sure if they got the same guy to do it or it just sounds similar. You got the modern city streets filled with people walking or something. A club where you can dance like a maniac. And Bloodlines 2 even gets its own hot goth vampire for the players all to thirst over. We were shown dark alleyways with back entrances to buildings that you had to lockpick your way through that, for some reason, takes you into a third-person animation? I'm not sure why they did that, but I can look past it for now. You got new features like parkour with more third-person animations, and new combat abilities with, again, third-person animations. Okay, I may be getting a little bit worried now that we have another Thief remake on our hands where control is taken away from you with almost every action, but maybe it'll be changed in the final game. Don't get me wrong, the original game had some third-person animations too, but it never completely takes control away from you unless it makes sense. On the bright side, combat looks infinitely better than the janky mess that we got in the original. Other than the animation problem, the gameplay looked solid enough, and it really seemed like the game was well on its way to release. There was some drama about the game being exclusive to the Epic Games launcher, but other than that, public perception was great. Then, on October 16th of 2019, Hardsuit Labs put out this announcement. To all fans of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, for the last 3.5 years, we've worked hard to bring you a worthy successor to Bloodlines 1. To us, that meant not only making good on the ambitions of this remarkable game, but also a duty to ensure that we would not repeat its mistakes. Today, we have to tell you that we need some more time to get you the game that you've been waiting for. Although Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 will still launch in 2020, we have decided to value quality over making the Q1 launch window. There are some things we wanted to hit under all circumstances when we set out to follow in Bloodlines' steps. A deep, branching storyline, fascinating and amazingly acted characters, the rich universe of the World of Darkness. We firmly believe that we're on the right track to get you all of this. On the flip side, there's the responsibility to avoid some of the issues that plagued the first game, which was famously launched too early. Over the last few months, it became clear that to stick to our original date would risk repeating that mistake. We won't do that. In the end, everyone working on this game wants to offer you the best Bloodlines 2 we can. This hasn't been easy, nor our first choice. Throughout 2019, we have been improving our processes and growing our teams. However, it soon became clear that this alone won't allow us to deliver the quality we want to at the date we promised. Your feedback was invaluable on this. It helped us give the proper weight to what we saw as well. We'd like to thank you and hope that you'll support us in the decision that came from it. 2020 came and updates on the game started coming less and less frequently. And eventually, on August 11th, the team announced that the game would again be delayed. this time to 2021. Our goal has always been to deliver the best game possible, to immerse you into a Seattle reimagined in the world of darkness and deliver a worthy successor to the original Bloodlines game. Due to the quality bar and ambitions we have set for ourselves, we've made the difficult decision that we need more time. This means our goal to release in 2020 is no longer possible. Moving launch is one of the changes we are making to ensure the best player experience possible. This is not a decision taken lightly, nor is it the first option we considered. We will share more information in the coming months on launch timing and other organizational changes that will help us achieve this goal. We understand that this will be a disappointment for many of you, but we also appreciate how our ambition is echoed through many parts of the community. We hope that you understand that, while difficult, this is the right call. We thank you all for your patience while we continue to build Bloodlines 2. It was at this point people began to grow skeptical, but most still remained optimistic until 8 days later, on August 19th, when it was announced that Brian Mitsoda, the lead writer, as well as Kai Clooney, the creative director of VTMB2, had both been fired. This came as a shock to the entire fanbase. After all, how could they fire the man responsible for the original game that we all know and love? And how could they do it so late into the development of the game when the story had presumably already been finished? Even the man himself had no idea, and had this to say. Until recently, I was the narrative lead on a video game called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 for Hardsuit Labs Inc., being published by Paradox Interactive. After almost 5 years of involvement with the studio, I was suddenly terminated on July 16th, 2020. That this came as a shock to me is underselling it. I've worked on Bloodlines 2 for almost 5 years. The story and main cast was initially conceived in my living room. I helped develop the pitch for Hardsuit Labs and helped pitch the project to Paradox in Las Vegas. I've been in charge of the narrative since the beginning, working long days and sometimes weekends to deliver a successor to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And I've never been led to believe that I hadn't succeeded. Bloodlines and the fandom of the game mean the world to me. So I lent my legacy with the franchise, my name, and my participation in marketing efforts for the game, even when it was immensely difficult and took a mental and physical toll. This is all because I wanted to do what was best for the game and the team. The pride in the work, the fan expectations, and the support from coworkers who started out as fans kept me going in these 5 long years. And I'm incredibly disappointed and frustrated to say that this is where it ends for me on the project. I was not part of the conversations that led to the decision to delay production, and to my knowledge, there were no delays caused by the Bloodlines 2 narrative development. I am confident and proud of the work that I and my team have put forward. When that work will be seen, and what form it will take is unknown to me. It was a pleasure to work on this game, and with many people at Hardsuit Labs and Paradox, and I'm sorry I won't be able to see it through to the end. I spent many years on some of the best characters and dialogue that I ever wrote. It's meant a lot to hear from the Bloodlines community, and I do hope that what's finally delivered is as satisfying as I intended it to be. Thanks to all of you who supported me throughout the project. In the next 6 months, we received radio silence. No more developer diaries, no more updates on the game, no explanation on Brian Mitsoda's departure, no updates to the website, nothing. Till February 23rd, 2021, when Paradox Interactive made the announcement that the dev team was fired. All of them. The entire team. Good morning, everyone. As you may have noticed, we've been keeping pretty quiet for a while. With this in mind, the first piece of news we have for you is to confirm that Bloodlines 2 is still in development. Secondly, we have made the hard decision that Hardsuit Labs will no longer be leading the development of Bloodlines 2, which also means that we will not be releasing in 2021 as previously planned. Since we cannot at this time communicate a new release date, we've also decided to stop accepting pre-orders for the time being. This game is very important to us, and it has been an ambitious project from the very start. In order to meet our goals for it, we've come to the conclusion that a change is needed, and as a result, more development time is required. We'd like to take this opportunity to honor Hardsuit Labs for their efforts and thank them for their hard work on the project. The studio has done a tremendous job in laying the foundations for the game, and we hope that you, the community, will also appreciate their contribution to Bloodlines 2. We are thankful for your continuous support throughout the game's development. We understand how important this is to you, and we'd love to share more with you. As soon as we can, we'll let you know what the future development team of Bloodlines 2 will look like. This is where we stand now. With no release in sight, no developer, no information on what exactly went wrong, just another game stuck in development hell. But hey, at least we still have the pre-order rewards, right? At least they still claim the game is written by the creative mind behind the original Bloodlines. At least the game hasn't been completely cancelled. Yet. Look, I sincerely want to believe that this game comes out in the next few years and turns out great. But every single piece of news we see on this game makes that seem less and less likely. The game we were shown back in 2019 no longer exists. The lead writer is gone, the creative director is gone, the developers themselves completely removed from the picture. Next thing we know, they've completely scrapped the story, gameplay has changed, and with Paradox in the lead, with no passionate creators to stay grounded onto the original focus of the game. For all we know, the game is going to be turned into just another mediocre monetization machine, where the only objective is to suck as much money out of its players as possible. We've already seen the signs with the ridiculous pre-order tiers that are still up on the Steam page, even with the game in the state that it's currently in. As a fan of the original game, as a fan of RPGs, and more than anything, as someone who just wants to see the next great RPG come out to contend with the title for best RPG of all time, that hasn't been seriously challenged since The Witcher 3, I've lost all hope for this game. And that really fucking sucks to say.